Alright, so here's my Trail125. I have put on some knobby tires. Let's look at them real quick. So right here I got some knobbies. These are the GP1s, IRC. IRC, right, IRC, Trails GP1, 3-inch. Let's see, where is it? Right here, 3-inch by 17. On the back, I have Golden Boy Trail SR244, also known as Shinko 244s. Nowhere on the side does it say Shinko, but they're they're supposed to be Shinkos. These are also 3-inch. I can see that 3-inch by 17 as well. So these tires are much, the knobs on here are much more aggressive than well, I shouldn't say much more, but they're more aggressive. The knobs are bigger. The depth right here is thicker. The thickness of the knobs, they're taller basically. So that's why I put these in the rear. So that's how usually dirt bikes are. The rear tire is usually a little bit more aggressive. Burlier knobs and such, and also deeper as well, deeper threads. Right. So yeah, again, these are 3 inches. So let's look at them and how they perform. I just went on came back from a dirt road riding today. After I got off work and I went home. Instead of taking this street home, I took a dirt road home. It added like 20 miles to my ride, but that's all right. It was worth it. So performance-wise, on the road, these do not perform as well as the stock tires. 2 reasons. One, actually probably 3 reasons, but one is rolling resistance. Knobby tires have a lot of rolling resistance, so you're fighting against that. 2 is the weight. These tires are pretty heavy, especially this Shinko 244s. Shinko 244 is very heavy compared to everything else. Even the IRC GP1s up front, those ones are almost probably a little bit heavier than the stock tires, but Shinko's is definitely heavier than stock tires by several pounds, by probably like 3 pounds, I think. So anyway, so that's the second one, the weight. And third, it's probably because these are 3-inch tires, so they're actually bigger in diameter. So basically, they gear this bike even taller, and this bike doesn't have enough power to push the gearing. Especially now it has more rolling resistance and more weight, more rotational mass. So that affects it. So on the top speed, compared to the stock tires, these knobbies, this combination that I have here, and I'm running the same tire pressure, okay, as the stock tire pressure. 25 up front. In the back, I'm actually running 30 instead of 33. Honda says 33, but that usually means you're a heavier rider and you have cargo in the back and all that stuff. Then you go 33. But otherwise, me, I'm light, so I could run 30, which is fine. So same tire pressure as the stock tires, and I'm on the street pavement. I'm losing about 3 miles an hour on the top speed, so it's a little bit slower that way, and I could feel it. I could feel the I could feel the engine RPM, and I could actually see, because I have a tachometer on here, I can actually see the engine RPM can't get up as high. It's trying to get up there, but it can't. So that's one. Other thing I notice is when I'm climbing, I definitely notice when I'm climbing. It's even slower climbing now than before, and it's noticeable. It's enough to be noticeable. So that's that, right? As far as oh, and the other thing is that because these are more these are fatter tires, they're actually cushier. So they actually have a cushier ride compared to the stock tires. And as far as on pavement performance, like how they handle and stuff, I didn't really notice much of a difference at all. Like how good the traction was and cornering. I mean, it just rained yesterday or the last 2 days, so the road is still a little bit damp and wet. Some spots are still wet, so I didn't ride as hard as a dry condition. But just riding around, I felt traction was fine. It didn't feel like I lost any traction on the pavement. So that was okay. It's just basically lost in power, speed. That was only lost right there. Otherwise, cornering and grip and stuff, it was fine. It was actually even more cushy, more comfortable than the stock tires. Maybe even traction might be even more, but it's hard to tell. I won't be able to know until the road's completely dry, and I push it harder on the cornering on the pavement. All right, so that's cornering, or that's dry performance on pavement, mostly dry, some damp roads. On dirt, these tires work really well compared to the stock tires. On dirt, the stock tires on dirt going at say 10 miles an hour, how much control I have, how much control I feel with the stock tires going 10 miles an hour is how much control I feel with these tires going at 20 miles an hour. So that's like this 10 miles an hour difference in feel of control. So with the stock tires, even 15 miles an hour, I feel like I have plenty of control. And this is like a hard packed dirt road that's relatively smooth. Okay, so 15 miles an hour, I feel like I still have a lot of control. 20, I start to feel fast, and 25 is about as fast as I want to go on the stock tires. On a hard packed, relatively smooth dirt road. This bike, 25, it was pretty easy. Even 30 was pretty easy. When you get up to past 30, that's when it starts to feel kind of fast and it, I don't know, flat, pretty smooth, flat dirt road, hard pack. It still felt comfortable at 30. When you get up to like 35, that's when it started to feel fast. But when it was bumpier, then obviously you had to slow down a little bit. Once these tires I got on, I noticed that the tires were kind of outperforming the bike, or in other words, the tires, or more specifically, the tires were outperforming the suspension. With the stock tires and the suspension on here, they matched pretty well. With whatever speed you're going, how you're taking the bumps and stuff, they match pretty well. These tires, you're able to go faster, but the thing is the suspension can't keep up with the faster speed, so it's like bouncing. It's bouncing all over the place. So you have in that sense you have less control because of the bounciness. But as far as traction, dirt traction, I actually have more control than the stock tires. So if that makes any sense, so the stock tires, the dirt traction and the bounciness, it kind of mates with each other and matches. With this one, the dirt traction overwhelms the suspension, the bounciness, so that it's bouncing too much for the speed that these tires could go. So basically, so you basically need to have better suspension to make it more comfortable and feel like you even have more control. So that's the performance of this, right? Let's look at other things here. I did have some fitment issues. So when I first put this on, right in here, where the fender extender is, right here, the fender extender here, the mounting bar that's right here, it actually rubbed on the tire. Even just pushing it around, just rolling it around on the driveway, it rubbed on the tire. So I actually had to loosen up the bolts. You see the two bolts up right there, those two bolts right there, there's two on each side. I actually had to loosen those up, and I have to once I loosened those up and this the fender could wiggle a little bit, I actually had to push this back here out backwards, so that way it gave me more of a gap here to give me more clearance, so it wouldn't rub. So on the pavement, I didn't sense any problems. But riding the dirt road, I did, because you have rocks that would kick up in here, and this fender being metal, I could hear the rocks, clinking, kind of like clink, 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 clink. Then it shoots out the front, So clink, 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 shoots out the front, clink, 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 shoots out the front. So that did happen, with a small little gap in here. It's okay to have pebbles, that's fine. It'll clear pebbles, no problem. But if you have like little rocks, like a marble, marble-sized rocks, it's gonna clink. It just doesn't have enough clearance. So that's that. I heard someone put some type of adapter to raise this fender up a little bit. I haven't looked into it yet. but I should look into that, and if I could do that, that would be perfect for the front. You know, if it clears those rocks. The back, on the other hand, it's a little different because the back, you know, with the suspension extended, there's plenty of space in here, so that's no problem. But because I'm a light guy, I don't have much of a problem. But if you're bigger and heavier, you're gonna have more problems with you know, if the suspension is near bottoming out, you might not have as much space. But the good thing is that, you know, it's usually the bottom out only happens for like a split moment, right? And it doesn't happen. It's not constant, right? So most of the time you will have plenty of space in the in here to clear out rocks and mud and stuff. But one concern I do have is right in here, right here, where the plastic is right here. This, and it's only on this side. The other side has plenty of space, and the other side has like half an inch of space. But on this side, the plastic right here, if this, once the tire compresses up and it moves up, down here is, you know, obviously it clears, but up here it won't. It won't up here. And well, I should say it does clear side to side. It does, but you're so close. You know, you're only like maybe a 1/16 of an inch away. That if there's whatever rocks right here, it probably, you know, it'll rub right here. So let's actually look at that clearance. Let me bring the camera over here, see if we can see the clearance right here. Let's see, if we shine the light right there. You can see the plastic right there. Let's angle this down a little bit. You can see the plastic right there, right? See that tight? See that? Now I'm trying to get the tires in there. You guys can see that little gap, or lack of a gap. See where the light in there is? So the gap is disappearing. Let's see. Shoot, it's not focusing very well. So you see that? That's not much of a gap there. So it's very tight in there. So as this compresses right here, that plastic right there will you know, if it's completely clean, it would probably clear. But if there's like mud or dirt or whatever right here, it would definitely rub right in this spot right there. So that's the only real concern with this, you know, the fitment and rubbing and such. So so if I know now what I you know, if I were to know before what I were to know now, I wouldn't have went with this size tire. You know, this 3 inch by 17. I would have went with a 2.75, and that way you have more clearance here and also the fender in the front as well. So yeah, so I don't recommend the 3 inch size unless you do something about the front fender, raising it up, and also the back here. Maybe you use like a different aftermarket shock where it's a little bit taller and you get a little bit more space here. So I'm actually looking at doing that, at changing the suspension, because the spring weight actually fits me, my weight, okay, and even the dampening on this, it actually fits okay too. So that fits well. It's just the amount of travel on here is, you know, for dirt you want to have as much travel as you can. And this thing just doesn't have that much travel, so I'm actually gonna upgrade my suspension, and the suspension I'm gonna get is gonna be eye to eye. It's gonna be a little bit longer, so it's gonna raise my bike up a little bit, so it gives me more clearance and such. So anyways, that's for another day. So that's my overview on the 3 inch tires, knobby tires. If you leave everything stock and you just want to run the 3 inch tires, I don't recommend it. It's just for the clearance issues. I definitely recommend the 2.75 for more clearance. You can even go with a 2.5, but I think that's kind of small. That's kind of narrow. That's probably even smaller than the stock tires. So I think 2.75 is a good. It's probably the same size as the stock size tires. Yeah, and if you do focus more on dirt, I would also change the gearing to gear it a little bit lower, because I think this gearing, especially with these tires being bigger than stock tires, it's actually geared even taller, and it's actually little bit too tall. I think, you know, riding under the dirt today, I felt like it was too tall of a tire or of a gearing. I think that's it. I don't have anything else to say, I don't think, with these tires. Alright, thanks for watching.